Alrighty, we have a plain glass brown bottle of beer, which means only one thing. It's that homebrew time again. Let's do this. Beer, 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 ba beer, ba beer, beer, beer. Hello everybody, welcome back to me, Maple Brewski, for kind of a Rooski Brewski review. But today, it's come that time again. It's been a while. Talking about homebrew, specifically my homebrew. This is my fifth homebrew, totally new recipe this time around. I'm going to pour it up. I'm going to give you a second to guess. Guess in the comment down below what you think it is. Probably already know by the title. Maybe that's redundant. But hey, we got a 50 BMG bottle opener. Because, well, why not? They're pretty damn cool. Let's crack this bad boy open. Yeah, I guess you know the title. But hey, we're going to crack it open, pour it up. And then you can take a chance to see if you get it. But again, kind of redundant. Let's pour it up. Oast House, pint to pint glass. Get a bit of head on there. Is this one with more carbonation or less? Guys, there's a few things wrong with this beer. I'm gonna be straight up, be honest with you. But take a look at it and see the color of it. Not much head on that particular pour. A little hazy because, well, I don't really have a good filtration system here. It's a colander with a piece of mesh through it. So, but actually, one of the least hazy beer I've ever brewed. Probably the other one would be the brown ale. Again, it was too dark to actually tell how much haze there was. It was the least hazy beer. Used some Irish moss as kettle finings. So that was kind of cool. But yes, this is what I'm calling bitch of a blonde, because this thing was a bitch to make. Yeah. It was a pain in the ass. But hey, look at this beer. It's nice golden in color. It's not as blonde as I wanted it to be. It's like a dirty blonde. Yeah, it's like a dirty blonde, I would say. Not much head. Coming in about 4.3 to 4.5% ABV. Somewhere around that range. We'll call it 4.4 just for shits and giggles. I got something in my eye. There we go. Yeah, we'll call it 4.4%. Just to, get an accurate, or close, as accurate as I can with the setup that I have. Yeah, pretty decent color. I would like a little lighter. I did use a bit of I didn't think I used too much, dark malt, or darker malt, but hey, it's what it is. Diving on that nose. Now, straight up, it is, it's still, it didn't ferment as well as I had hoped. And that was mainly, if not, that was entirely my fault. Entirely my fault. On the nose, you're getting, more grainy, a little bit of like an herbaliness, a little caramel, bakery bread, like sweet bread. Yeah. Get a little caramel, a little bakery bread, sweet bread, some herbaliness. Just being honest, let's dive in on the sip. Cheers, everybody. Sweet bread, almost a little tea-like as well. Again, that herbaliness from not fermenting. Like not a great fermentation on it. Pretty bummed about that. Again, entirely my fault. Also partially due to the weather we had during this beer's fermentation, but mainly my fault. Cheers, everybody. Let's keep on. Let's talk about this. Yeah. Okay, so what is this beer? Bitch of a Blonde, homebrew number 5. My attempt at a blonde ale. I got my brewer's friend notes up here. I'll put a link down in the description box below to show you what's up. original gravity, I start my OG was 1055, which was pretty much on target. It worked out on Brewer's Friend to be 1054. Totally fine. I used 9 pounds of 2-row from CMC, and then I used again Bryce's honey malt, only half a pound of that, so about 9.5 pound, 9.5 pound malt bill, starting with a like a strike water volume of 6 gallons. I have a very hard time using a brew in a bag method. I have a hard time, trying to get as much wort as possible. Probably should do some sort of sparge the next time. I think I can facilitate that now. But that's kind of what I'm working with. When it came to the hops, I used 3/4 ounce of Vanguard at 60 minutes right at the top of the boil, and then I used half ounce of Triple Pearl in the last 5 minutes of the boil. Also threw in a bit of yeast nutrients and Irish moss at the 10-minute mark, if I'm not mistaken. The Vanguard and the Triple Pearl were provided to me from Pear's Beer Company, actually, in a little gift pack they gave to all the Brewmaster students, and or at least my class for their Project Brew, which is really cool. Really beautiful smelling hops. I really like that. All Canadian made ingredients. I wanted to get as Canadian as I could for this one, because I thought, why not? And the yeast that I used was Escarpment Labs Cali Ale yeast, just one pack of that. The brew day. Let's talk about that. The brew day was okay. I was going for a 90-minute mash time. It was really ended up only being 60 minutes because the temperature got away from me, and I was aiming for like 68, but then I don't know what happened. I don't know why I got a bad reading, but it like shot up to like 80 some for the last like 20 minutes, more or less, and didn't come down as quick as I wanted it to, so oops. Kind of bad, but even with that, I still hit my OG, which was fine, and with that little flub, everything seemed to be more or less on track. The rest of the brew day went fine. Threw it into the fermenter, the big white 5-6 gallon bucket. Threw the airlock on, threw the yeast in, threw the airlock on. Put it in an environment that was, we're right at that range around 20, 21 degrees Celsius. I'm like, all right, perfect. That's sort of where the higher end of the yeast can chill at, can be at. Perfect. Good weather outside. Not needing to run the AC. It was great. The next few days, though, it got extremely hot outside. We're talking 30s, low 30s, with humidity at like minimum of that outside. And since it was like mid-May or something like that, we weren't running our AC in the house. And I didn't think this little heat wave was going to last as long as it did. It lasted a good 3-4 days. The house wasn't too bad the first couple days. Maybe like a degree or here or there. I'm just like, all right, I got some time or whatever. But then I think by day 3 or like end of day 3, the house was hot as hell. Way too hot for the fermentation. Way too hot for the yeast. And by that time, I think I just waited too long, and between me waiting and the house getting just increasing in temperature so rapidly, really fucked up the fermentation of this beer, which totally my fault. Pretty disappointed in that. Should have acted quicker, brought it down to the basement where it was a little cooler, might have dropped the temperature a little bit, but I would say it was still in the temperature range. For the yeast, just before the heat wave, it was too cold down here and was just right upstairs, and it got too hot upstairs and became just right down here. So things to note, especially on the homebrew side, if you don't have like a very sophisticated setup, the temperature management is a pain in the ass. Pain in the ass indeed. So it didn't get a full, proper fermentation coming out to be why the beer still tastes so, I guess, young would be the word. Big bummer on that. Still, not a total loss. It is a little sweet. Well, it has a decent bit of carbonation. I probably should have mixed up the when I threw in the wort into the sugars, mix that up a little bit better. But hey, that's neither here nor there. It's just process and practice. I mean, 5th homebrew. Come on, guys, cut me some slack. Still learning, still trying to figure it out. And some days when you're either brewing or bottling or whatever, what have you, things slip your mind because you're stressed about time management. But I mean, this is me at home. This is the beer I make at home. I'm not as anal about things because it's just like, this is home. If something goes wrong, I mean, it's me who's drinking it, no one else. So what do I really care? But at the same time, I still need to be a little bit more diligent and really focus. But being at home, I kind of like to have that little bit of like experimentation, I guess. I don't know, but it's fun. It's fun. But I'm learning it as time goes on. It's weird because when I'm in the brewery, I'm very cautious and always double check things and make sure everything's good. When I was out at school and then I got back home, just like, hey, I'm at home. I can be a little bit more relaxed. Probably shouldn't carry that same that mentality at home and just take me being the best I can be when I'm at the brewery or when I'm at a brewery brewing and then bringing that home. Home just has a homey vibe. You kind of just relax a little bit. But it's just fine. Things to note on the homebrew side of things, there's a lot more variables that you can't really work with like you would in a real brewery setting. So things to note indeed. But yeah, pretty much it. Caramelly, herbal, sweet bread. Sweeter than you'd want for a beer, even a blonde ale. But final gravity I think came out to be 1020. I was going for about 1011 to boost that ABV up just a bit, but knowing the many variables in my home brewing setup, I accounted for that non-full fermentation or proper fermentation, and I was happy with the 1020. I think it worked out to be about around 4.3 to 4.5, somewhere around there, especially after bottle conditioning to get the carbonation in here. Gonna put it around there. I'm happy with that. I wasn't looking for a over 5% blonde ale. I was looking for a little bit more lighter beer, but that had to happen, sadly, with fermentation not going as planned. So where do I go from here? Well, I brew the same beer down the road, be a lot more mindful of its fermentation environment, and go from there. And also the temperature when I'm mashing. Thankfully, that wasn't a big issue. It was just fermentation, weather, and no AC in the house at the time. Overall, not bad. I wouldn't sell this beer. To be completely honest, it is what I would say young or unfinished. But for just me and my brother sitting at home needing a couple beers, 100% good to go. Not a problem at all. Doesn't taste bad. It just tastes young and a little sweet. Overall, choose the final sip. Let's get kind of rate to ratings. I'm not really going to rate this. Good thing though, not getting any off flavors. DMS, minimal oxidization. Again, that's a more setup sort of risk rather than true to style, or not true style, but true method of it. But that's just how my setup is. It's very basic, so you're gonna have a little bit more oxidization, I guess, risk when it comes to bottling and whatnot. But I mean, I've tasted the oxidization on here is minimal, very, very minimal. Can't get it. Can't taste. Maybe just a smidgen, but 99% of people won't taste it at all, which is kind of cool. Overall, though, I'd say it's a partial win in the fact that what from my understanding and from what I'm getting from this is that it was a fermentation issue. I know the variables that caused it one, the weather outside making the house too hot, and also me not bringing the fermenter down to the basement before the main floor got too hot. So seeing that, understanding where I went wrong and what happened and why the beer didn't come out as good as it should have, is great to know, and something to grow from. So overall, may not be the beer I expected it to be, but it's progress, it's learning, it's experimentation, it's experience, it's homebrewing. It's the best way to play it. Overall, guys, cheers on the final sip. We're not getting a rating, I'll just send you off after this guy. Not bad, not great, gonna be better next time. Before I leave you, if you have any comments, questions, or beers you want to review or even brew in the future, you can leave all of that information down in the comment box below. If you want to go out and like this video or subscribe to me, Mate Brewski, it'd be greatly appreciated as well. And with all that said, that's gonna do it for me, Mate Brewski. Like I always say, crack a beer and enjoy. Cheers.